JOVA. The JOVA podcast.
There was one time, another crazy story, group situation. I can't remember where we were, but it was something in Pretoria, and we're doing the show. I think you were emceeing that show.
Okay.
Just Six was singing there.
Okay.
And at the time, we were doing just a little segment of, I think it was Spread Love.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was also like kind of learning how to, transcribe basically.
Spread
but I
Love by Take Six, yeah.
So I was transcribing by ear. So all of that stuff, that's kind of, and then, do that with the group before, rehearsal or whatever, just to kind of exercise our ears and stuff. And I remember we were backstage and we were busy kind of warming up and we're doing this. And then he walks to the back. I'm sure you could hear that sound from a mile away. Like, I'm hearing a wrong note. So he comes through, okay, fine. The Spread Love bit was all right. And then I think you did the bridge with us. What the world is now. And he had every single part in his head. And I think you said something to the effect of how much you listened to Take Six records.
Yeah.
That you could literally sing each part from the beginning to the end.
True.
I don't know for how many albums, but you did say that first album.
Oh, yeah.
You, every song on that album, from first tenor to bass, he knew every single note and
That's
how each thing
that's
went.
correct. That's correct. And the same applies to all the other Take Six albums as well.
If Take Six ever decides to call it quits,
Yeah.
I think we're safe. I think we have the
walking
music.
library of the music.
I think we have the music.
There's a walking library.
I think we're
anyone,
safe.
anywhere in the world, you can teach those parts.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very much comfortable. I'm very much at home in articulating all those, because those, man, I'll tell you now. When I first heard Take Six, this thing of arranging the Take Six sound. It was a long time ago. It was in 1993 when I first heard their first album.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
1993. I had just finished high school
Whoa.
at that time.
All right.
Yeah, that then leaves people wondering, how old am I?
He finished high school in 93. Can you calculate?
That's 12 years of school. Which you don't start at 1.
You don't start.
It's 12 years of school, which you don't start at the age of 1. Just remember.
Oh my goodness! So that was 1993 because this is June, right? Next month I'll be actually turning. I know I look 40. I know I look 35, 36. I know.
Definitely.
That's not even a joke. Like he does. You don't look over 40.
I don't, right? Oh my goodness! I consider that one.
But don't say you're turning 50, man. What are you turning?
I'll be turning 50 next year. I'll be 49 next month.
You joking?
Amazing, eh? The music.
It's music.
It's music.
Music can do some really amazing things.
The music largely constitutes part of my lack of stress. I make sure that the music contributes largely to my lack of stress. Stress does contribute to the way you look, by the way, age and stuff. Yeah. So I got to listen to that first tape. Take Six in 1992. I remember listening to it first time. Literally within 2 weeks of listening to that music ardently,
Yeah.
I never got to see the sound the same way again. Every sound I heard was Take Six to me. Even if I was on the road, a car hooting, I would harmonize with it.
In 6 parts.
I tell you now, I would see alternative. I remember one time, I was in a certain car way back in the years with a certain little girl. She was a colored girl.
Yeah.
As we were in that car, there was a car that was hooting. I think we were at a traffic light. So there was an irate driver who was really hooting.
Yeah.
And the little girl was like, ah. I looked at him like, hang on.
You.
Are you like me right now?
You. Are we?
Without hesitation, I joined in with the semitone.
Oh no.
When she went, I went, she was on a B flat. I simply hit a B right there. You know, nobody understood in the car what was going on.
Was she with you though?
Yeah, she was
Oh
with
my
me.
goodness, no,
Like,
man.
what?
Like,
What?
one of the things I'll never forget is one of the things he'd tell his daughter when she was young. Every time his daughter would cry, I'd be like, Nana, you're crying in the wrong.
You need to sharpen,
used to
just sharpen a little bit.
That used to finish me. A bit flat.
So, oh my goodness, I remember those memories. So I got to get influenced that way.
Yeah.
All right. And then I started introducing that sound to certain groups that had great faith in what I was doing to them.
Okay.
You know, though they didn't understand what I was teaching them.
Yeah.
But they believed that whatever should come out from this guy,
Yeah.
it has to be good.
Yeah.
We'll trust him in any case.
That's true.
So I was called a Satanist sometime. I remember in one church I was called a Satanist because I remember singing one song that I had written.
Hey, our church, guys, honestly, our church.
Yeah. So I remember writing a song like, God sent his son whom he has loved. God sent his son whom he has loved. He gave his life a perfect sacrifice. God is merciful. God is love. So I remember
What a beautiful message.
Yeah. So the melody was like, God sent his son whom he has loved. God sent his son whom he has loved. He gave his life one perfect sacrifice. God is merciful. So it changes key at the end. It becomes a suspended chord. So it will be God is love.
Okay.
You know?
Yeah.
So God is love. So it ended there. After the performance of the song, people looked at me like, there was no amen, eh? Like, what is this? One elder who was brave enough came to me and said, boy, that was satanic. So.
And at this time, would you do this with the group, or you like?
It was the group.
This is the group. Okay.
Yeah, it was a mixed group.
All right.
So they were quite frail after that. They felt a little feeble. No, it means we're singing wrong things. I was like, no, guys. No. Don't worry.
It needs time.
It needs
Some of
time.
these things need time.
25, 30 years later, only then do people get to recognize that, he was way beyond his time. Okay, now we understand, because fast forward to now. Take 6 then began to open the Pandora's box of harmonies for me. I began to hear even instrumental music as voice. Groups such as Fourplay as in FOURPLAY.
Yes, the jazz band. Okay,
Jazz
guys.
band. Just to clarify there.
Fourplay is a jazz band.
Yeah.
When I got to hear that,
Yeah.
I would convert the instrument as voice.
His voice. They've got
Thus-
beautiful music. Yeah.
Opening up my harmonizing palette. I would hear 6, 8, 10, 12 voices at the same time. Because I would interact with every little facet of music that goes on in any of those of those notes, be it the horns, be it the what have you, So I never fell short of trying out what I was hearing with certain groups.
Okay.
Until at a point in time where I'm like, there is Africapella. Okay. I was the last person to join the group.
Okay. All right.
Similar to your Mervyn Warren. You were called in. That's what happened to me. I remember Vuyo Tshuma in Klapo.
Okay.
He's another prolific songwriter, composer as well,
Yes,
and a vocal arranger as well.
Yes.
I want to be honest with you, I was quite skeptical in joining
that
groups.
I was actually going there to say because then fast forward to now, I would say, what was that, 2004-5, around there, where there is I think a different kind of surgence in vocal music. I think a whole lot more groups are starting to experiment. You also hear groups like No Limits that are kind of experimenting with something that was a bit non-traditional from what we knew from the church background, and kind of also tapping into the idea of music outside of church as well, different kinds of influences of music that are not just like traditionally hymns or whatever that was at the time, a bit more. So when Africapella comes to life, that was also just like a different explosion in a different direction. I think in that close harmony sense, but also with a lot of African influence, and I think that kind of brought it home for myself, who I had been listening to Take Six. I wasn't crazy enough. I wasn't such a great Take Six fan growing up. My brother was more of the Take Six fan growing up. I was just like, no, this stuff has got too much going on. The harmonies are so intense. I can't take it. I loved acapella. Like that. Those are my guys. Like just clean. They just come on. Just like, yes, give me that. We have
seen His glory.
And I think for me, what kind of hit was, I think, a few more miles to go. I think that was the first song that kind of was like, ooh, okay, this is something. This is different, and that kind of opened my palate to that. And that was probably around 2002, 2003, and then out of nowhere, I hear these 6 brothers from Africa doing now what, obviously, when you get put onto something, you binge it a lot. So obviously 2003, I get onto Take Six and I binge everything there is on Take Six, and I'm such a Take Six fanatic, and just for that now to be presented in a way that like, hey, hold up, this feels like home.
I can connect.
I can connect
a little bit
this,
better.
But they're doing the exact same thing. So I've always actually been curious about how the group actually came about.
Interesting story. I remember I was doing kind of like, there was a music convention at Wits University, right? And guys were doing their thing, and singing. Emmanuel was there with their pop performance, and I'm like, wow, these guys. Some of these groups, it was the first time for me to see them.
Okay,
I started making friends there, and I'm like, wow. Backstage, there were groups like Lighter Pill Ministries. They were also there as well, And at a certain point in time, I was part of that group. So singing with them and stuff. It was all lovely. I think it was 2000 and what? Was it 2004? Around about there.
Yeah.
So there was a music convention there, and then I'm now speaking from a personal perspective. I'm a person who, because I love harmony, I see music and then I reinvent it in my head.
Okay.
And then I enjoy the version that I have in my head.
Okay.
After listening to what people would be enjoying. You know what I mean? So I listen to all these groups, and then the group TIC, Tranquility in Christ.
All right.
Came onto the podium at that time.
All right.
And just started singing. So for me, they stuck out as okay, I can hear some tension there.
All right.
Interesting,
All right.
I'm like, okay, interesting group, Now I realized that Vusi Nhlapo was one of the members of that group and looked like the director.
Okay.
Right. So after they performed, I was then called as an individual.
Okay.
To showcase myself.
All right.
So I had a pre-recorded CD of an arrangement of Singabahamba Yotina.
Okay.
So I had recorded it at Themba Mkhize's studio. He was also one. He was one curious man. He's one of the. He's one of the most prolific musicians in South Africa. Let alone one of the best jazz pianists.
Okay.
And a cappella aficionado. So I met him and we vibed together, and he recorded my demo just for him to see what exactly I'm made of, you know. And he got fascinated, and so we imprinted everything on CD. So I took that CD and then I made it background vocals while I sang on top of it.
that.
So
Okay.
you know, during the concert, and so I was, you know, after performing it, it was a question and answer section.
All right.
So question and answer section, and I could hear there's a murmur in the background.
Yeah.
And it became louder. And I'm like, excuse me, what was that? And a section of the audience was like, who did the backing vocals? I'm like, oh, the backing vocals. Oh, no. I did that. I just recorded every voice in the background. And then I decided to back myself up. And that was 2004.
Sure.
Like, that's new. I remember one young man, he's a friend of mine, Setumo Seroka. He came to me.
Yeah, Stimo.
Yeah. He came to me, and I don't know if he's watching this, I don't know if he'll remember this.
Yeah.
But he came to me that afternoon and he said, who are you? We don't know you.
Stumo. Assurance.
That's him.
For sure.
Who are you? We don't know, you know. So I had to explain myself. And while all that was happening, it was a beautiful vibe. TIC came to me.
Okay.
I remember Joshua shook his hand. Vusi was there. And they admired what they experienced. And then Vusi started selling me the Africapella idea. I think it took me 6 months to be convinced.
Okay.
After about 6 months from that time, I then agreed I joined the group.
All right.
It was at Orlando West, and I was like, okay, nice to meet you guys. So let's see how you guys sound, you know? So they sang for about 30 seconds, whatever they used to do then, Meet Me by the River, Where We Meet the Savior. I was like, okay. It was a song written by Vusi.
Okay.
I'm like, oh, nice song. And now God gave me a gift where if I look at you without even singing, I know exactly what part you are singing by calling, not by preference. It does not matter how political you choose to become with me to say, no, but you see,
I'm not a first tenor.
You know,
I'm a second tenor.
Okay, so do you sit down with groups? You watch groups now and be like, this one is singing wrong part, this one is singing that.
Yeah, absolutely. No,
Before you carry on, what part must he be singing? In just 6.
Well, if I can tell you now, because I know him, he's my boy.
Yeah.
Right? I know he's an all-round musician, right? By ability, he can sing all parts.
Yeah.
But by calling, you are a natural baritone. Natural baritone.
What part do you sing?
I sing baritone.
In the group?
Yeah, I sing baritone.
Okay, lovely.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm not saying this because I've seen him per se singing baritone. No. But I can tell from just his essence and the way he impresses himself on me that this is the part that.
That's wild.
You see.
So what part must I need to make sure I'm singing the right.
No.
With Brian.
For you, Brian, by calling, you are a natural tenor. You are able to sing every other part comfortably and with skill because you can. But your natural calling is tenor.
Okay.
Yeah, and I can tell you now that you don't have an issue with doing things like range and stuff, you know. But the things that I sense that you'd love to stretch yourself on is the ability to process a vocal arrangement faster without reference. That's where I think and sense your curiosity is.
The man.
Is he a vocal prophet?
I remember when you say that way back in the years 2009, 2010, I was vocally training a certain student. It was a young lady. So I began to, if you would like, diagnose her. You know, she was shocked. Genuinely shocked.
This is quite interesting.
And she asked me and she said, are you, and she was Zulu. Like, are you psychic? Unabapans? I said, no. This is a gift from God.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And not only that, even the choir that I'm humbled to be conducting now, the Santin Ladies Choir, they've all gone through the same process. They've all been diagnosed in the way you've just experienced right now. And as a result, that helps me to place each and everybody according to what they're supposed to be singing by calling. If ever I'm to stretch your abilities there, it will be because I will have helped you discover yourself psychologically in the musical sphere, made you relevant from within, so that whatever you sing, you're saying out of an informed sense of self. So that when you do your technical, sequences, like you're doing upper ranges and those kind of things, you are not just complicit replicating what you are told, but you are doing it well informed that, this is how I'm sounding like, because I know what my voice architecture is like. Even in my psychological space, even if I'm not singing out loud, I can literally hear myself inside and appreciating my voice texture and stuff. That's a deep study for another day.
This is sure.
That's how surgical I am when it comes to treating the voice, and especially when I do vocal workshops. I do not give you skill without addressing your psychology. It's no same experience for you as would for the other person.
Yeah.
It's a different experience for each person. It's an emotional ride, especially for me. Because once I connect with you, I feel what you feel. And I will help you with it. I'll help you with it. But when I leave you a much better person than what you were before, inclusive of helping you discover what's dormant in you. And that you are not aware of, that I can see you've got. So that's what helps me when I arrange. So back to
Africapella. Hey, sure.
Africapella.
And I was about to even ask a follow-up, but I'm thinking I want us to get to Africapella, because where's Africapella today?
Right.
Okay.
Good question. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness.
So carry on. I want us to get to where are they?
So it's a very interesting question. So when I get to develop music, that's what I go through with each person.
Right.
So with Africapella, I then began to establish. Okay. So this is this is how Loiso sounds like. This is how Vusi sounds like.
Yeah.
Okay. Then within a split second, I didn't have to wait for them to finish the song. I readjusted all of them.
Okay.
So
are you saying that generally the parts in which we knew you guys were singing in kind of is different to what you had witnessed before?
Yes. Yes. So within about 30 to 25 seconds of my experience in them at that particular point in time, I told Vusi to stick to third tenor. He shouldn't depart. Chaba should stick to fourth tenor.
Yeah.
No. Baritone.
You're saying baritone, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then Thokozani was doing first tenor, soprano, low. So I asked him to stick to say. Now these are guys who knew how to fit in all the parts.
Yeah.
But I found myself assigning them according to their natural calling for the parts. And then having fitted them there, I deliberately slotted myself in the fourth tenor.
Okay.
Yeah, because I love those parts that are very difficult to understand. Even young groups now that have come up after Africapella, I'm not going to mention Just Six. You guys have been around now for a while, and you now have your footprint. You are well respected.
Doesn't say that, man. It's still young.
Y'all been around for years.
I mean, I've watched you guys come about and watch you grow, and it's very humbling to experience an eagerness in guys like you, carrying on the legacy of harmony, lifting the torch further, and doing it in your own way and honing the skill in your own way. So Africapella began to take bold leaps,
Yeah.
in doing this harmony thing, and unbeknown to them, for lack of a better word, that's a colloquial term. you know. I went to Themba Mkhize and I said, hey, there's a group that I'm sorting out, you know. In a few weeks' time, we'll be visiting you. And then I polished the guys, I remember. And when they were ready enough, I told Themba Mkhize, I said, hey, I'm going to bring the guys along. And we brought the guys along. I remember we were singing O Little Town of Bethlehem. So there was a chord that we started with to start the song, you know. I remember the song was on F. So I remember doing this chord. Guys, ready? 1, 2, 3. Themba Mkhize stood up, walked out the door, came back, like, what did I just hear, you know? And then we continued with the song from there, Oh Little Town of Bethlehem. And that then became the birth of our then album, Blue Junction 2006, yeah, which has been around now for quite a while. And the Africapella resurgence, right?
Yes.
Then gave birth to and paved the way, I believe, for other groups, you know, to come up. And for me, that served as a pointer to suggest that sometimes that's what was needed. An ignition, a spark, to make people break out from certain shells that they have been confined in for a long time, to a point where this can't be done.
Yeah.
If this can be done, it'd rather be done by other people who are out there overseas. You guys from Africa,
Do this.
this is what you're confined to, and no further.
Yeah.
So when the harmony thing then broke the ice, then when I saw other groups coming up, you know, I said to myself, no, thank God, because this is what was needed. Now I see Just Six. Now I see Assurance. Now I see tight harmony groups beginning to grow. Come up and then you know, it became a fulfilling thing for me to say, finally, what I was wishing for has happened. So that the textbook can be rewritten. That harmony is also possible. Even where we are. Not necessarily that a point has to be proven, but because we've realized in and of ourselves that God has given us the ability to do this, and then we realize it. Then we do it to the best of our ability.
That's so true.
So Africapella then became one of those vehicles that began to showcase how I'm able to arrange and hit 6-part harmony live and raw. I remember on one occasion in Pretoria, we actually sang Oh Mary, Don't You Weep, note for note. Even the modulations, oh, take a little higher. Exactly as is. And people were like,
what is going on
this
here?
is impossible on home turf.
Man, it's, I think also for me, you're very right in saying that Africapella really sparked, you know, that tight harmony kind of idea, bringing that to life. Because other than that, I think what was doing the rounds was Themba Mkhize's recordings. I don't know. I've also got a big question. One day when we finally sit down in a room with him, we can ask him who the vocalists were on there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, it wasn't him doing all the voices.
Sir?
He wasn't doing all the voices in those things.
I understand he wasn't. I understand the other people who also.
There were other people who he actually raked into his projects, but on a couple of projects he would actually feature on his own in his own personal capacity. Like on the Noma Themba song, that's him. No, he had a basser in there. Yes, and he did the rest of the voices except for the bass.
Okay.
But on the album Hands On, where he did. Oh yeah. He featured a bass guy there. I forget his name. But on the Yem Yem song on the album Hands On, that's Themba alone.
Oh yeah.
That's where you hear that. Oh yeah, you know.
Sure.
And then on the rest of the other songs where he's got instruments and stuff and you've got backing vocals, they would feature. But be sure that the vocal arrangements were done by him.
Yeah. Because I've seen another interview of Buso
Cause.
yes, that he was also working with him on certain things at the time as well.
Absolutely.
Another vocal
Genius.
man.
Yes.
It's crazy what he does. So we'd had the recordings, of course, Nomatemba, Yem Yem. I forgot what the name of that one was called. And that's the idea of what we've like heard on record. And then with Africapella, it kind of brought that idea to life. That this thing can actually be performed in this way. And I think also just the idea of performance and how to carry yourself in a performance and all of that. Although I think at the time, I think there were a lot of people who looked at what you guys doing like, that's a bit extreme.
Yeah. I remember at one concert there's a guy. We basically asked people questions. When you hear our sound, what do you think?
Yeah.
What comes into your mind?
Yeah.
I remember one guy was brave enough to say, "You guys are just Take 6 wannabes."
Yeah.
So
That's not even an insult.
yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
You know that.
It's
Like,
not.
A lot of people will be like,
They don't get
"Oh,
it."
really? Oh, that's like, wow.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we took that and we flipped it over and we're like, wow.
Okay.
Take 6 wannabes. So in other words, the guy was not really criticizing the music to say it came out wrongly.
Yeah.
But the manner in which it was said, okay. Take 6 wannabes.
Yeah.
So we flipped it and we made it a compliment to say, oh, okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And that gave us the oomph to really press on with what we could see has been identified by the audience as the true sound of what we wanted to do. Take the Take 6 sound, bring it raw to the people, let them know that this thing is also possible even on our shows. So you fast forward, we've been performing on concerts, throughout, even on corporate gigs and stuff,
Yeah.
So you will find that along the course of the journey, just like Cedric Dent, who eventually retired from Take 6 to pursue a teaching career as his doctor, Dr. Cedric Dent and stuff. Mervyn Warren left and to pursue film scoring and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So it became that circle of events began to affect Africapella in a similar fashion as well.
Okay.
Where certain occupations of certain areas of occupational expertise began to affect certain individuals in our group in a certain way. And they began to spread their wings and branch off to what I would say for some is greener pastures and stuff. On my personal end, I then began to work extremely and diligently so on personal arrangements which have found their way on the international scene.
Okay.
So for those people who have noticed, there's a group called Acapella is Live.
Yes.
On the internet. They're Americans.
Okay.
They asked me to arrange a Bill Gaither song, God Sent His Son, they called him Jesus.
Yeah.
And then it was posted in 2020. That changed the whole perspective of what harmony can be.
Okay.
Arranged from Africa, you know what I mean? And then it began to raise the attention of people who I never thought I would be in touch with in this life. I was speaking to Brian earlier as we're driving here. That there's one person who I really have conversations to, or almost on a weekly basis, daily basis, if you will. Sometimes it can be a break because of the men can be busy. David Maddox.
Okay.
David Maddox is the guy who Cedric Dent made a comment on and said, I don't listen to Glad intently. But when I listen to David Maddox, when David Maddox arranges for them,
Yes.
I do listen because David Maddox comes straight from the Gene Perling School of Music.
Okay.
Yeah, he's
Makes sense.
Do you know him?
Yeah, with the Glad project, right?
if you listen to the Glad Acapella Gershwin project.
Yes.
And then you get to listen to the Glad Acapella hymns, the song Fairest Lord Jesus.
Yeah.
That was by Gene Perling. Yeah, in the same project, there is a song by Glad that goes, Da 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 da. That song, it's a hymnal. When I check the credits, I'm like, oh, David Maddox. That song sounded like one of his projects
From Eventide.
I'm like, wow. And I sent him a text, David, are you the one who did that? Yeah, that's my baby. And how did that become an everyday conversation between me and David? David discovered that sound when Acapella is Life posted that song that I arranged. So I used to admire David Maddox from a distance to say, hey, some people are just too far to reach.
Yeah.
Always looking at his profile, hoping for something new. I'm like, oh, David Maddox and stuff. So one day I'm sitting in my house. I'm just going through, my social media pages, and then I get a friend request, David Maddox. I'm thinking, this could be a hacked account. This could be a hacked account.
Yeah.
David Maddox. I'm like, okay, let me accept it.
Yeah.
Same time I get an inbox. Hello, Mr. Tshuma. Are you the one who did that song?
Oh.
Because He Lives.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
Yeah.
Are you the David Maddox? I said, yes, I am the David Maddox. Like, what?
Wild.
So since then we've been talking and sharing ideas. There's much to learn from that man. I mean, he's a genius of note.
He's going to be on the show then, I guess.
Has to be. You need to hook us up, man.
I'm glad to call him my personal friend, because he gets to inspire me in so many ways. It's funny, the same pronouncement he's actually said about me. I said, no, David, I'm the one who should be saying this about you.
Yes.
He says, no, if at all, you should know that as far as I'm concerned, okay, I'm going to say this in humility. I'm not one to beat my own drum.
Yeah.
I won't send myself a call back.
And call.
Even call. But
Yeah.
he made a comment to an effect that he sees me as one of those brightest torches that shines brightly in this day and age, in as far as the emergence of fresh vocal arrangers is concerned. So day in and day out, I do thank God for the music gift that He's given me, and I'm all too happy to share with people out there indiscriminately, so that people enjoy this gift that I have, without being choosy upon whom I get the opportunity to bestow my expertise on.
So I mean, like now it sounds like you're living the retired life of every acapella vocalist.
But now, when you say retired life,
I do arrangements when I want.
When he says retired now, retired, for me it feels like a curveball.
Yeah.
Because I always see myself at the beginning.
Okay.
Whenever I achieve something which I feel and resonates with me that it's good, I always feel it's only the beginning for me. It's a start. And once I start working on something new and I really get to see it as something that's big and wow, my mind always gets to reset. I'm always at the beginning. So in other words, my mind is always at a point of exploring and stretching my musical prowess, if you will, and stretching my creativity tentacles to an all-time high.
Yeah.
So that at the end of the day, for as long as God has given me breath, man, I will always see myself at the beginning of every new thing that I want to do in music, regardless of the God-given achievements that I have come to experience at this particular point in time. Not to mention the rare opportunities that we've been given of arranging voices for Andreas Vollenweider, being a part of his musical projects is a huge honor.
That was great.
These are some of my highlights in my musical career.
Just for those who don't know, I would like for you to just humbly give us,
Some names.
just some names. Just humbly throw in some names.
Some names, some projects, some things.
Some things.
One or
two.
two.
Yeah, because I mean, the ones that at the top of my head, I know you're involved with Judith Sipuma's
Yes.
The Christmas Project.
Yes,
I'm
yes,
sure.
yes.
I don't know
Yes.
if the other work. I know you guys worked with WHP.
WHP, yes.
I'm not sure what you guys have done with Vuyo Tshuma. I don't know if you actually done.
I remember with Vuyo Tshuma, it was in 2010
Yeah.
where we were performing at a corporate event by Discovery.
Okay.
We had met a month before,
Okay.
and he highlighted that we have to sing the song together because we had a showcase. We had actually performed Stimela.
Yeah, I was about to say you guys performed Stimela with him.
Yeah, in
that
six-part
is
harmony.
wild.
Exactly. So when we came back from Europe, Vusi and I traveled to Europe. When we came back, the gig was supposed to be the following day.
Yeah.
Brahu saw us and was like, you know what? No need to rehearse. We'll meet on stage. And so there we were. We hit the 6-part harmonies there, and Brahi was right in front with his saxophone, and he did his thing.
Yeah.
And what an honor it was for me to have vocally arranged the music, only to have the owner of the song
Yeah.
singing it.
Yeah. That's something wild.
I tell you now, it's something worth remembering. So
Sure.
yeah,
Sure.
so-
So that's that was it. Just met on stage and it was just two. Bah.
that was it.
And you killed it. And then it was
Yeah,
done.
that was it. And we followed the form.
Sure,
and
that is
so
crazy, man.
it was not just Vuyo Tshuma for in my personal capacity. It was Kai Mahlangu as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Yes.
worked with him on a number of experimental projects and a
Yes.
number of live gigs.
Yes.
But of particular notice, Vusi Khumalo's album.
Yes. Right. I've always had a question. There's a song I know. I'm listening to that song. I'm like, this is Vuyo. This.
Oh yes, yeah, that song. The pianist in that album was actually Bob Baldwin from the States.
Sure.
Yeah, the pianist. He's the one who
That
actually
is wild.
played the piano on that particular
that
song.
is wild.
The song is on C major.
Yes.
And then it starts
Yes.
Impilo.
Yes.
No mamanda weko.
Oh.
Kota siyatena.
Oh.
Umoya oingwele.
Oh, come on, man.
So I remember on that album, it was
Yeah.
recorded in 2008.
Sure.
So when Vuyo Tshuma was interviewed on one of his interviews, he was asked a question.
Yeah.
In a certain magazine.
Yeah.
So what was your greatest delight in this album?
Yeah.
And I remember on that magazine he wrote, working with the vocalist Vuyo Tshuma. I'm like, wow.
That's wild.
This guy. So it was an honor. So
Yes.
that album, Reason for Seasons, I featured on most of that album.
Yes.
Yes. Oh man. So
Cleo.
yes, DJ Cleo. How did I meet DJ Cleo?
Yeah.
DJ Cleo, I was in Themba Mkhize's studio.
Okay.
Already word had spread about a certain guy who's doing harmonies like,
Yeah.
man,
Yeah.
And so Cleo he came into the studio and he heard my demos being played by Themba Mkhize.
Yeah.
I think at the time I was recording Nokanya Dlamini's album,
Okay.
where again I featured on almost the entire album. And then I
No,
had-
Kaya.
Yes.
Are you part of the vocals who did the vocals on that song?
on her album Thando Lwami,
Okay.
right? Where she sings Vogani
Yes.
Sebenzini.
Yeah. No.
I'm the person behind the backing vocals there.
Oh.
And on the song Tap Tap Ilanga Mo Tap Tap Ukudla Kwenyawo. So yeah, so I featured almost I think about 6-7 songs.
Okay.
Doing vocal arrangements there.
Yes, I know that
So No Kanya Dlamini and DJ Cleo, yes. We then met
Yes.
and was like, hey man, you are the son I've been looking for my entire life.
Yeah.
So-
because it's crazy about Take 6.
Oh
Clear.
yeah, and
It's
on
crazy
and
about
on a
Take 6.
daily basis.
DJ Clear is a musician.
He's
proper.
a musician.
Like a
He's a proper musician. Yeah,
yeah.
Clear is a proper musician. I checked him out. I'm like,
Proper.
no man, this guy he knows his story.
Yeah, he
And-
plays bass, right?
He plays
He plays
bass,
bass,
yeah,
yeah.
he plays bass. And so he would come collect me at the flat I used to stay in JOVA, go to his house, record, and then what was then cooked
Yeah.
became Briggs's project.
Yes.
Your Rest in Peace.
Yes.
So for those who know Briggs, his first album, Rest in Peace, I featured in most of his songs,
Okay.
and arranged the vocals there.
All right.
But the standout song on that one was Rest in Peace. Sisneng, Rest in
Sisneng,
Peace. For those who know
yes.
Briggs, yeah. Ooh, hey, oh. So when my sound then
We
emerged-
tried that thing, yo. Back in the day, we tried it.
So when my sound emerged through Briggs,
Yeah.
Cleo being the known person that he was,
Yeah.
they were like, "No, Cleo, man, we know your sound. That's new,
Yeah.
and it can't be you. Who is that?
Who's that?
So it emerged, and Briggs was like, no, he's a friend of mine, Vuyo, you know.
Yeah.
He's the one who's doing the harmonies and stuff. So that's where our relationship that's where our relationship then began with Briggs. So I featured much on that album,
Yeah.
and then on the second album belonging to Briggs,
Yeah.
I then did the very intro, 40 seconds.
Yeah.
I took Cleo's song, with his permission,
Yeah.
and then I arranged it, his popular song, Says Pizinga Ma Get Together,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I took that and made it a cappella.
Okay.
So what you'll hear is a serious 5-part jazz arrangement of that
Okay.
song just for 40 seconds. And then the album
then
begins.
that one begins.
Then it went on then I went to feature on Donald's album as well.
Yeah.
Donald,
Yes, yes.
His first album was jazz. So I got to arrange most
Oh
of
yes, I remember. Oh, was it the time when you were still working with Slylo?
Yes,
Ah.
at the time. So I featured on Donald's songs. I did the song Fragile for him.
Okay.
He did sing song. It was an all a cappella song. I did the backing vocals. And Vuguzenzele song by Donald. Vuguzenzele, where. It was in the key of D.
But he was also working with Cleo a lot at that time.
He was.
Yeah.
He was, yes, until he branched out and then he did some commercial music.
Yeah.
So it was not just him. Who else? Who else was that? A whole lot of artists, man. Margaret Tumzake.
Yes.
Yes. I did a whole lot of arranging work there as well.
Yes.
And I featured on other vocals and some standout a cappella tracks as well. And that's on the local scene. You mentioned Judith Sepuma and African Christmas. Yes, I did that. And that's on the local scene. Then on the international scene, I've worked for 14 years with Frederick Sioen from Belgium.
Okay.
As a backing vocalist for his band.
Yeah.
And then most notably now as a backing vocalist for Andreas Vollenweider.
Okay.
And then on the arrangement scene, I'm honored to be arranging for American groups. I never thought that would happen in my life.
That's wild.
To arrange for an American group.
That's wild.
On a sound that they know very well. Official King's Return. It's an honor for me to arrange for those guys.
Sure.
Acapella is life, know. So for them to really look and say, okay, wow, you're actually arranging 6-part harmony. Can we have some of your, So it's an honor for me to do that thus far.
Yeah.
So that's been the journey from then till now, and the people I've worked with to this day.
Sure.
Yeah.
That is wild. It really sounds like you've had such, I would say, a real full a cappella life. Like, for anyone who loves a cappella music and has, wanted to do this, in their lifetime, I think a lot of these highlights that you've mentioned, being able to tour is something quite special. Just, being part of an ensemble and going overseas and going to perform this stuff. It's always crazy, which has always been, like what you're saying, I think it's also been sort of the kind of way that we approach stuff as well with Just Six when we go overseas and we tour, in that we don't want to be just the other African a cappella group that's there, or the guys that are gonna come with some traditional something, or whatever the case is. Although yes, we do have those things in our back pocket, but we can package those things in a way that also brings up how we approach our harmony, or we do different things, and for me that should always be that standout thing. And with what you are sharing, with your life's experience with a cappella, your involvement with Africapella and individually and all of that has just been one of those things that stand out for me, that it's about taking what we do and going to represent it out there in the best way possible, and not in a way that is kind of preconceived in a certain way, and kind of breaking out of that shell, which is a very hard shell to break out of, because a lot of stuff that they've been fed over there is that, and that's what they expect when they hear they're getting a vocal ensemble from South Africa. I don't know what the reception would be most of the time where you guys go, or you guys went, Germany and Switzerland, especially Europe is quite tricky in particularly, because there's just always this whole kind of traditional vibe that's always exported over there. So when you're coming through and you're like, in our case, we're doing pop. So like, we're here to do some pop a cappella for you. And you're like, what? And then, once they hear what we're doing, it's like, oh, okay, it's at that level, or whatever the case is. And for me, it's always just that thing that is almost like an uphill battle that we're fighting against.
And I'll tell you now, whilst it's an uphill task, it's for me, we will not really surmount that uphill because it will contribute, depending on how we look at it. We will look at it as part of that educational curve, that learning curve, which gives us the drive to continue inching along with what we do, simply because of the nature of the thing that we do, which is also characterized by its being an uphill task. If it becomes an easy undertaking, somewhere along the line we will become complacent, we will become slack, and we will relax on our laurels. And then we tend to slow down in as far as our creativity is concerned. We're no longer on our toes. And I just want to say something quite important in as far as how we view longevity and legacy is concerned, even on the commercial side. Of what we do as a cappella people, as a cappella aficionados, if you will. Because we have established that the ultimate instrument eventually is the voice. It will always go down the centuries, down the years, as a go-to reference in as far as the production of music is concerned. What becomes stumbling blocks along the way is how then we get perceived, depending on how we manifest ourselves musically and creatively, and our choices of positioning ourselves in the industry along the way factors in on how we then choose to become successful in one way or another, or basically concoct our doom in as far as how we position ourselves is concerned. If there is one thing that we need to envisage in as far as longevity is concerned and legacy is concerned, it is to become consistent, absolute, and resolute in this thing of a cappella that we're doing. Let's not look at our music as one equated with fast foods. I think that's our biggest mistake, where we want to get rich now. Not to mean that we don't need money. We do. But there are some times in life where you get to strike a balance between making money and establishing a legacy.
Sure.
You can make money, but with a tarnished image.
Yes.
Then what you will have presented as a point of making money, to certain perspectives, it becomes your permanent image, blocking the view of what your actual essence is, in as far as what you would like to be your legacy is concerned. Which makes you go back to the drawing board to say, you know what? I think I have to, not that I've got a choice, but I have to. I have to draw a thin line between commercialization of what I do and establishing a legacy based on passion. Find a way of riding those two along so that at the end of the day, when you look back 10 years, even if you may not have made enough money to live a lavish lifestyle, but you've made money enough to pay bills, live a normal life, and at the same time have a legacy to say, you know, I am satisfied with what I'm doing. Hardships are always there, just as those who are living in the corporate space, you know, where they have to plan financial reports and stuff. Sometimes they earn their big salaries and sometimes they spend more than they can. You know, everybody goes through hardships regardless of how much you get. But with us, it's quite different in that we control our own destiny, so to speak. We input equals output. The more you input, the more results you yield.
Yes, true.
As God will determine in the direction that he wants to steer you at. So we always have that hope that because God says hard work rewards, we will input whatever we want to input musically in our a cappella space, and then we trust that God delivers for us at the end of the day. That presents a sane way of thinking in principle, so that our emotions do not detect us. Do not dictate us in the wrong direction that we would otherwise take in the name of making money at the expense of our passion and legacy. You know what I mean?
That's true.
So that at the end of the day, this kind of thinking negates the stresses that one would have in as far as not getting the satisfaction you need. Where you will find that in the most extreme cases, you will find that some people have committed suicide because of failure to realize certain dreams, regardless of the facade of so-called success that we see out there.
That's so true.
You know what I mean? So when we as acapellians look at music in a way that only serves to gratify emotion and stuff, we will want to then live and articulate lives that bring that particular feeling full circle, and you'll never get satisfied. To a point where frustration sets in, and then you'll find yourself doing the extraordinary, like committing suicide, going through a depression, getting medication for it, and all those kind of things. So to bring everything into a nutshell, when you know that you've got a God-given purpose, which is encased into a gift, stick to it. There will always be a good reward in the end. It does not matter what shape and size it takes, but the pureness of your objective will resonate into what will eventually be your reward at the end of the day, as long as you have been honest and passionate about it and putting God at the center of it all, because he's the giver of all gifts. And because he's the giver of all gifts, be sure that what he has started in you, he will finish it in you. Challenges that you will experience are not for you to glory in, but to appreciate the fact that God is able to make something out of confusion. Then you get to know him better as the author and giver of gifts. So that at the end of the day, when you arise up from those ashes, you will then know that God was with me then. Doesn't change what God has given me, the passion and the music skills. There's a reason why I went through that, so that I can know God even through the gifts that he's given me. So, to cut a long story short, to cut a long synopsis short, that's basically what I would want to really point home, in that there is life beyond misery and drowning in expectations that are not met in as far as performing a cappella is concerned. Rather, we look at what we have been given by God and pursuing it to the best of our ability, knowing that in one way or another, as God sees fit, he's going to reward us accordingly. It's the mentality, it's the positioning that we assume that determines which direction to take. And I would humbly suggest that we always look at it from a success perspective rather than a failure perspective.
JOVA. The JOVA Podcast.